Well, hello, my name is David Fulton. I'm with Unit 13 Extension with Local Food Small Farm System, and today I'm sitting with Mr. Gale Cunningham at Wixie Classic Studios. How are you, Gale?
Just very well, Boots. I appreciate you having me with you.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk to Gale Cunningham and kind of what his role is in agriculture. First question for you, Gale, is why don't you talk to us a little bit about your job description, what you do in that?
Well, I'm the farm director at Wixie Classic Radio, and we're a 50,000 watt station that covers basically the western half of Indiana and the eastern half of Illinois. And each and every day I get a chance to not only do the markets, but also ag reports all the way throughout the day. Because farmers really want to know four things every day, Dave. The first thing they want to know is what the markets are doing. The second thing they want to know is what's the weather going to do. The third thing they want to know is what is everybody else doing. And the fourth thing is what's coming down the pipeline that could be very innovative and helpful and profitable for me and my family operation.
Sure.
I try to do that every day.
You've been involved in agriculture for many years.
Yes, sir, I have.
Could you kind of talk about the changes that you've seen in agriculture?
Well, Dave, as you and I have talked before many times, the technology that has ramped up just in the last decade is just so unbelievable. Not only the seed capabilities, but also the equipment and the farm equipment that farmers use today. The technology has just absolutely gone off the Richter scale. And from the progress that we've seen, we're going to have that progress. Farmers have such a very small window of opportunity to get their crops in at an optimum time. So therefore, the size of equipment is very important. We've seen the size of agriculture change. It wasn't very many years ago that a section of land, 640 acres, may very well have 3 family operations that subsided there. Today that 640 is farmed by one individual because of the economics of agriculture. The other thing that has really changed is, of course, not only that window of opportunity is a must, but also we need to ramp up our yields because, Dave, it's not going to be very long that there's going to be 9 billion people in the world to feed. And oil companies, manufacturing companies, they're not going to be the ones to feed that 9 billion. It's going to come from agriculture, and I think the changes that we've seen come is very innovative, and I think it's very important that the change continues moving forward from today in agriculture.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your insight on that. My next question for you, Gale, is where do you see the importance of agricultural education being?
It's so very important. You know, we talked about the need for agriculture to continue to progress, to feed that many mouths. And we're not going to be able to do that without ag education. We've got to be able to educate the leaders of tomorrow, whether that be leaders of a large agricultural company or a research-based company, to find new uses for our byproducts or the products that we raise on the farm. And without that education, the education base that is a lot of times founded around research and research development and fact-finding. You know, Dave, one of the things that I never thought that I would say, that agriculture would be under attack by many, many different groups that we're not doing what we should be doing. Ag education helps take away some of those myths based on fact. And we need to be able to have those leaders through ag education to continue to educate the future of agriculture in the classroom, because without it, we're stalemated. We won't go any further, and we'll be just like any other second or third world country floundering around trying to figure out what we're going to do to feed the people in our country.
Yep.
So I think it's very, very important. Ag education has become more and more important. And by the way, agriculture is one of the industries, David, and you and I have talked about that before, that there are positions that go unfilled every year. Agriculture is an industry that continues to hire good young leaders, And without the ag education to teach those new young ag leaders to take those position slots, whether it be in the classroom, a research facility, an ag company, fertilizer, chemical, you name it, all those company slots have got to be filled with someone that has the backgrounding of good education of agriculture, and multifaceted at that. And without the ag education departments such as the University of Illinois, we won't have the progress necessary for those people. And even more important, as a lot of families itself, and even in town, some urbans, are trying to produce some of their own food, whether it be on a patio or and therefore the extensions of the universities through ag education. Not only can we teach each other how to produce, but also how to do it in a proper way and environmentally safe. And that's the other thing that I think that ag education has done. It's taught us as a public as that we are actually being more environmentally safe today than we were just 10 years ago, instead of just the opposite. So ag education is just so important, whether it be in a media form, in the classroom, or in a company or business that helps support the agriculture industry.
My last question to you is, we already mentioned that there's going to be 9 billion mouths to feed one day.
Yes, sir.
And it's not that far away either.
No.
So where do you see the importance of agriculture in the future?
You know, just recently I had an opportunity to speak at an FFA banquet, and I was talking to the FFA kids, and I said, you know, when you're right in the center of your peak of your career, it's going to be about 30 years from today. What will these young people today see in the next 30 years? What's happened in the last 30 years? It's been amazing. The average corn yield in Illinois was 112 bushels an acre. Today we're inching over the 200 bushel mark. Well, that bushels of corn, if the acreage remains constant, is going to have to be 350, 400 bushels per acre. Now, a lot of the things that we look back 30 years ago, if you would have told us 30 years ago the things and process and the equipment that we have today, everybody was going, yeah, right. Well, the next 30 years is going to be very, very important, not only to help inform consumers of how their food is produced, but we also need to do it in an environmentally safe, economic way to keep family farms going. And we also need to, in the future, continue to hammer it home to our legislatures that farmers today are the most environmentally safe, economically safe, to provide the cheapest, most affordable food in the entire world that is still the safest in the entire world. And I think moving forward, there's an awful lot of excitement. I don't know that I'll see 30 years from now, David, but it's going to be exciting. You know, with the technology that continues to ramp on, who knows? A farmer may just think about planting corn and there'll be a tractor fire up. Will we have manned tractors in 30 years? How will the corn be harvested? How much yield will we have? Those kind of questions will be answered by the leaders of American agriculture in the future, and we need to keep educators moving in that direction. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be exciting.
Yep.
The next 30 years, the next 10 years, the next 5 years is going to just be amazing, David.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all your answers today and your time, Gale, and it's been a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to sit with you, David, and I thank you. You've been a blessing with us on Wixie Classic to be able to share with us from time to time in the studio and out in the country as well. And it's a pleasure to be with you, David. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Catch us on our next video on the Unit 13 Local Food Small Farms blog at Ag Out and About. Thank you.